The reason for this article was the numerous materials that were finally managed to be systematized into a single whole. As you have understood, we will be talking about industrial exhibitions that were held in many countries both in the 19th and at the beginning of the 20th century. The Russian Empire was no exception, where these exhibitions were held regularly up until 1917, after which, for understandable reasons, they ceased. But strangely enough, in other countries and even on other continents, with a slight delay in time, they also came to an end. There are definitely some cause and effect relationships here. Let's take a look. Strangely enough, despite the wide variety of exhibitions in Russia and abroad, there are very few materials containing their photo catalogues. On domestic resources, they are practically not available for free access. But at the same time, there is an unimaginable number of digitized text reports and catalogs about these exhibitions and resources. The situation looks a little better, and at the same time, you can find materials of interest from Russia of that time. This is a very strange fact, but let's take it step by step. The most famous exhibitions are considered to be the Paris World Exhibitions. Any country that wanted to could present their products there, and it was this exhibition that set the tone for global development in everything, from art to the military industry. To stay in trend, as people say now, similar exhibitions were organized at the state level not only in Europe, but also in countries across both Americas as well as in Asia and Africa. There is a lot of preserved information about such events online, but let's start with Paris. It was held in a palace like this. There were other locations as well, but the main event took place here. This is the Palace of the Champ de Mars in Paris. Strangely enough, the palace has not survived to this day. Or another view after Champ de Mars was developed. The view of the Eiffel Tower is a bit strange. Some kind of spheres are attached to its supporting structures. A photo from 1900. It turns out to be an interesting situation. On the tower from that time, there's some kind of arched cornice with light bulbs, and if you look closely, between the arches, there are some posts that look like the ones on the roof of the palace on the field of Mars. And what's on the tower now? That's right, it's completely different, and even behind the tower, everything is different, but it turns out it's all simple. The Eiffel Tower itself was originally intended as a temporary structure, serving as the entrance arch for the 1889 Paris World's Fair. Originally, it was part of a single ensemble with the Palace of the Champ de Mars and shared a unified engineering network. So, does the disappearance of the palace from the cornice on the Eiffel Tower somehow relate to this? This is where the wonders begin. But what will interest us most is the Palace of Machines, which also hasn't survived to the present day. Such lack of preservation is a very strange phenomenon for Europe, but nevertheless, a fact is a fact. It was here that all the world's achievements in mechanical engineering of that time were concentrated, and a lot of photographic materials about those exhibitions have been preserved. Let's delve into them. A photo from 1889. Strangely enough, among the machines, for some reason, there are a lot of miniature churches, and in some of them you can see that there are also some mechanisms inside. It would have remained unclear if this photo wasn't in the same collection. Is that a water tower in the background, and if so, what type is it? That's a bold design choice for a water tower in this climate. In freezing weather, it would stop working almost immediately. Most likely it's some kind of modernized dome structure that somehow affects the pillars located on the roof of the building in the background. It's possible that this structure also affected the pillars standing on the cornice of the Eiffel Tower. After everything was demolished, the Eiffel Tower's cornice was no longer needed and was replaced with a simpler one. And our little churches, it seems, had something to do with the machines standing in the pavilion. Many photos from other exhibitions show similar neighborhoods. It turns out that our well-known obelisk with a light bulb on top is also part of the machine. It's unclear if it's the driving or driven link. The number of little churches here is off the charts. I'm especially amused by the two things circled at the bottom. Personally, this is the first time I've noticed them here. Similar things were present in Paris. Here's another one. And how are things in Russia? We're feeding the bears. And nevertheless, at the Amur-Primorsky exhibition of 1898 in the city of Blagoveshchensk, which was quite a backwater at that time, we see a photo like this, the same kind of spire, similar to a small church. Once again we see a strange machine previously featured at foreign exhibitions. In any case, a machine implies obtaining mechanical energy by converting any other type of energy, even another mechanical one, for example, a bicycle. What energy is being converted here? Steam isn't involved. Otherwise the unit would look different, and the dome on top is further proof that in this case natural electrical energy was used, which they somehow managed to obtain with the help of this spiral tree. But this isn't only present at this exhibition. So what are churches really? Yes, by the way, about that. It turns out that about 100 years ago, this electricity could be easily extracted from the atmosphere. We can assume that something happened to the atmosphere and it stopped providing electricity. And all this happened at the beginning of the 20th century, or some kind of global governing force banned the technologies for extracting this electricity. If we look at paintings from the 16th to 18th centuries, we'll see the Kremlin, houses and streets depicted as illuminated by electricity and lighting. It's the same in Europe. We covered this in the video Atmospheric Electricity before the 19th century. It turns out that Tesla was developing already existing technologies. Perhaps he was the only person who was allowed to do this, but after his death, these technologies were carefully removed. Not so long ago, masters possessed the secrets of obtaining and using very cheap energy. Because of this, certain forces not only destroyed this equipment, but also the exhibition pavilions themselves. They messed with everyone's heads for 5 generations. It's worth writing separately about the Nizhny Novgorod fair. Its respectability both inside and out was on par with the Paris one. And what do you think is there now? That's right, just an empty lot in the Konovino district of Nizhny Novgorod. And they even show it regularly on television with dreams of reviving the fair, but unfortunately in Russia these dreams will remain just dreams, even if they decide to bring it back. Somewhere deep down I allow myself to think that, but such functioning little churches and pillars will never be built again, because it's simply not allowed. And this is decided at a global level. The pillars, as you know, are those on the pavilion roofs. These pillars have a little secret that allows them to ignite the gas-filled lamps. Something like that. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, here's a photo from the same exhibition halls in Paris after 1920. As we can see, there isn't a single church, and the exhibition will only last a few more years in this place before all the pavilions are demolished. This is 1923 and it's the same situation. The building's columns are mostly decorative, as no flask with any substance is attached at their base. And everywhere there's dull electric lighting, made in the same way as it is now. So we won't be seeing the Nizhegorодskaya fair for a very long time, until next time. Oops, I found another photo from the exhibition and still couldn't figure out what kind of machine is shown in it. If you know, please tell me. Thanks.